All right, let's dive into Atomic Habits by James Clear. Over the next few minutes, we're going to completely rebuild how you think about making progress and creating change that actually sticks.
I mean, it's a universal thing, right? We all have these big plans. We want to be healthier. We want to be smarter, more productive. And we always start out with so much energy and motivation.
You know how it goes. You make a big New Year's resolution, you're all in for a week, maybe two, and then, well, life just kind of happens. It feels like you're trying to push this giant boulder up a hill. So what are we getting wrong?
Look, we've always been told to dream big, right? To set these massive, world-changing goals. But what if that's the very thing holding us back? What if the real path to huge change doesn't start with some giant leap?
And this, right here, is the absolute core of Atomic Habits. So let's just forget the giant goals for a second. The whole idea is that the most incredible results in our lives come from these tiny, almost invisible actions that we just repeat, day in and day out.
So let's kick things off with the why. Why are these little atomic habits so ridiculously powerful? Well, it all comes down to a tiny bit of math and, honestly, a whole lot of patience.
This number is everything. 1%. It seems like nothing, doesn't it? It's so small you wouldn't even notice it on any given day. But this is exactly where the magic is hiding. It totally sounds like an exaggeration, I get it. How can such a tiny improvement really make a difference? Well, think of it like compound interest, but for your life.
The math here is genuinely mind-blowing. If you get just 1% better every single day for a year, you end up, get this, 37 times better by the end of it. But, and this is important, the reverse is also true. Get 1% worse, and that tiny little slide compounds until you're left with almost nothing. The daily shift is invisible, but the long-term result, it's absolutely staggering.
Okay, think about it like this. Imagine a plane flying from Los Angeles to New York City. If the pilot adjusts the heading by just 3.5 degrees, that's a tiny shift, just a few feet at takeoff. You wouldn't feel a thing, but you'd end up landing in Washington, D.C. Your habits, they're your flight path.
So why do we give up? Why is it so easy to fall off the wagon? It's because we get stuck in what James Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. Picture an ice cube in a room that's 25 degrees. You raise the temperature to 26, nothing happens. 27, 28, 29, still just a block of ice. It feels like you're wasting all this energy for nothing. But then at 32 degrees, bam, a breakthrough. All that work that seemed to do nothing is suddenly released. Our habits work in the exact same way.
And that brings us to this really fundamental shift in how we think. We're so focused on setting goals, but Atomic Habits says there's a much better way.
So goals are the results you want, right? Like, I want to run a marathon. A system, though, that's the process that gets you there. That's putting your running shoes by the door every single night. See, goals are great for setting a direction, but it's the systems that actually get you moving.
This right here is such a crucial idea. Every single athlete in the Olympics has the goal of winning a gold medal. The goal itself doesn't make them a winner. What does? It's their daily practice, their coaching, their diet. It's their system. As Clear puts it, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Okay, so if systems are the secret sauce, what powers the system itself? This is where we get to the deepest layer of change. And honestly, this is where it gets really interesting.
So behavior change happens on 3 levels. Most of us, we try to change from the outside in. We start with the outcome we want, like I want to lose 20 pounds. Then maybe we think about the process. Okay, I'll start going to the gym. But we totally skip the most important part, the core, our identity, the stuff we believe about ourselves.
This is the one question that changes everything. The goal isn't just to run a marathon. It's to become a runner. The goal isn't to write one book. It's to become a writer. See, when what you do and who you believe you are line up, you're not fighting for change anymore. You're just being you.
I absolutely love this concept. It makes this big, fuzzy idea of identity change feel so real and practical. It's not about some huge overnight lightning strike. It's just about casting little votes, one after the other, day after day.
Every single time you do that habit, you're literally building evidence for your new identity. And you don't need a perfect record. You just have to win the majority of the time. Slowly, as all that evidence builds up, your whole self-image starts to shift.
So, we know we need small habits. We know we need to build them into systems. And we know they need to cast votes for the person we want to be. But how do we actually do it?
Well, that brings us to the really practical, actionable stuff, the 4 laws. Okay, so every single habit you have, good or bad, follows this simple 4-step loop. First, there's a cue, something that triggers your brain. That leads to a craving for some kind of reward. Then comes your response, which is the habit itself. And finally, the reward, which feels good and tells your brain, hey, let's do that again. The 4 laws are just a simple way to hijack this loop. To build a good habit, you just make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the action easy, and the reward satisfying. And to break a bad habit, you just do the exact opposite.
So how do we make this stuff real? Let's look at 2 super simple but seriously powerful techniques you can start using today, and they come straight from these laws.
This is a technique called habit stacking, and it's all about making your new habit obvious. All you do is you piggyback a new habit you want to build onto a habit you already do without thinking. The formula couldn't be simpler. After I do my current habit, I will do my new habit. Your old habit becomes the trigger for the new one. It's brilliant.
All right, next up, we have a technique that might be the single most powerful tool for beating procrastination. It's called the 2-minute rule, and it's all about making it easy. Now, the point here isn't to get amazing results in just 2 minutes. The whole point is to master the art of just showing up. So go for a run becomes put on my running shoes. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes roll out my yoga mat. Literally anyone can do something for 2 minutes. It makes starting so easy that it's almost impossible to say no. So, at the end of the day, building better habits is really about building a better you. The real question isn't what you want to achieve, it's about who you want to become. So, think about it. What's the one tiny vote you're going to cast for that